we're gonna carry on and plan the sequel, because let's face it, baby, these days, you gotta have a sequel.
And welcome back to Micro Queers. It's your bi-weekly queer horror short roundup, and I'm Joe.
And I'm Trace, and we're going to get a little seance-y action here with tres versos, or 3 verses for the people that don't speak Spanish.
That's me.
Yay!
I was able to translate this one, though.
I was waiting for you to say 3 versos, and I was like, wait, no, that's my job. I'd say the title. So.
But I can tell you that this was written and directed by Antonio Yea, aka Vander Von Odd of Boulay Brothers Dragula Season 1.
I think it's just Yee.
Is it Yee?
Yeah.
You know what?
Nevertheless.
You know what it is? My fucking notepad auto-corrected me.
Oh, see, there you go. Yes, no, Vander Von Odd. Writing and directing this short, which I had a lot of fun with this short. It's light, breezy, 11 minutes long, 2 minutes of credits. Really good production design, I thought, for like the 2 or 3 locations we get. Like, I felt very transported into this world.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of has a little bit of a persnicketyness to it, I'll say.
Yeah, there's a light meanness to it, but it's also, I think, yeah, you're right. It's just a lot of fun. So if folks have not seen the short, the logline is: after a violent encounter with an abusive spirit, 2 sisters, Greta and Catalina, and their friend Regina seek the help of a mysterious medium, Marjorie, who is played by Edwin Galvin, who guarantees that she can rid them of their problem.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I never like pegged myself for like being a really like into seance person. But after something like Insidious or Ouija Origin of Evil, I'm kind of like, honestly, a seance is like a really, really good space to like just do something creepy. And this one does it. It doesn't really have any surprises. Like there are twists here, but like you're kind of like, okay, like I kind of figured that's where this was going.
Yeah.
All leading up to the final jump scare, which is for me very reminiscent of Lights Out.
Okay. God, the number of times that Lights Out has come up on this podcast, and I still have no desire to see it.
Well, but the short film, because the short film ends with like, oh, look, you see, and then boom, something happens, cut to black, short's over. Like that's exactly what happens here.
Yeah, in some ways, this actually feels like a classic short. Like when I say, hey, we're going to watch a horror short, this is very much what I think. But you are right that the higher production values, which it's funny because I don't actually think that they're that high. They just look rich and like textured. Like there's a feel to this short in the way that The Room in particular is staged.
Well, and I mean, the hair, the makeup, the costuming, honestly, like if you hadn't told me a drag queen had written and directed this and probably had a hand in the outfits and the sets, like I would believe you.
Yeah, the costuming is great, especially when we actually see these quote unquote spirits running around the room. It's interesting that you brought up Insidious because I definitely thought of the kind of hyper stylized, like almost antiquated looks that we see in The Further. I wanted to call it The Never, and then I'm like, what are you talking about?
It is The Further. You are correct.
Yeah, just a great aesthetic overall. You're absolutely right. It feels polished. Like this has a really finished look to it that makes it feel expensive.
Well, and like, did I find it scary? I mean, I just thought it was fun. Like, it doesn't overstay its welcome. And also I do think that, I'm sorry, I'm going to forget this person's name, but Edvon Galvan as Marjorie is, oh man, the vocal affectation he puts on, like it's so creepy. The mask that he wears, this like paper mache mask. It's so great. It's so evocative. And you're just like, you know what? Fuck it. Like while there may not be like very much innovation in this screenplay, this short just pulls you into this world, and it's just kind of delightful to be in. Like I would watch a full-length version of this just to see what they can do with this.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you talked about like whether or not, oh, like, am I into seances now? Because part of me was like, put it on your Grindr profile, but also, I mean, I think we're the kind of jaded bitches where we look at something like a seance and there's a been there, done that kind of vibe to it, right? Like you need to give us something a bit new, and this is gently doing that. Like I really enjoyed the 360-degree pans around the table. I enjoyed the giant fucking table planchettes, like,
oh,
or sorry,
awesome.
the giant table with the giant planchette. There we go. Just yeah, you know, again, not particularly innovative, but it's fun enough and it makes this short move very quickly. Like you messaged me and said, this is really fun. It's only 11 minutes. You're going to have a blast. And I was like, cool. And then I put it on and it felt like it was done in about 5.
Yeah. And of course, our queer aspect here, though, is that our I guess de facto protagonist, because I mean, I don't know if I would call Marjorie or Greta the protagonist here. But Marjorie is, yes, played by a man in drag and is definitely a sassy bitch once she pulls off all the accoutrements.
Yeah, and I love that she's just dressing down her live-in boyfriend like, you look ridiculous, clean this shit up before you come to bed, and you're just like, oh, okay, she's a diva.
I mean, I regret to say I actually have not checked out any of Dracula. It's been on my list forever. And now with the new season coming out, I'm like, oh well, shit. I guess I better dig in. But if we get shit like this on that show, like consider me sold. I mean, production values. You know, I'm like even looking at RuPaul's Drag Race, right? Like there's some iffy production values there, but there's so much imagination here that I'm just like, you do you.
Yeah, so I've seen part of season 1. I think just because it became more available recently, and I would actually say that there's more ingenuity to the challenges, and the looks that the queens are serving is far more up our alley because they are all like it's basically like Gottmik and like some of the other queens that serve horror looks. It's like all that, like every single queen is serving those kinds of looks. So
love it.
Yeah, sometimes they're not as polished, but they still are speaking they're speaking our language.
Well, yeah, nevertheless, I mean, like, I don't know what you would make how you would make a full length version of this. I guess you could like follow Marjorie. You'd have to keep the momentum going. And obviously, as we discussed before, it's easy to do that in a 10-minute short.
Yeah.
But this kind of built up so much goodwill for me that I'm like, you know what? I'd see it. I'd give it a chance. Let's see.
Okay. It's interesting that you say that because I agree with the sentiment about the short, but I don't think I want to see a full length version of this, if only because I feel like this is doing it so well. I don't want to potentially stretch it out needlessly when I've got this perfect short package.
Totally fair. Call it my me being greedy. I just want more.
There you go. Okay. You like something, you want more of it. I got it.
Yeah. Well, listeners, let us know what you thought of today's Versos. We liked it, so please let us know what you thought of it as well. But yeah, I guess until our next installment of Micro Queers, we can cross out today's Versos.
Yes, and cross out Micro Queers.